History will be harsh on us. History will judge us. History will not absolve us if we don't look after our environment and then lead by example and be able to tell everybody else, let's correct the environment. Let's put back what God gave us for free. This rain you get for free. You know, the other day I was telling people, I think I was in Mbali, and I said, poor people will not go to heaven. They said, hey, you man, you've committed sacrifice. I said, you want to go to heaven. When you are poor, you want to go to heaven. Do you know why? Because when a poor man wakes up in the morning, first thing they do is curse God. God, oh God, why did you make me poor? Why is everybody else better than me? God gave you a head and brain for free. He gave you hands for free. He gave you legs for free. He gave you energy for free. He gave you land for free. He gives you rain for free. Then you curse God for not giving you money. God gave you the attributes of making money. That's why he has not come here to set up a business. God has no business. He has not looked for a job. He doesn't earn a salary, so he can't give you money because he doesn't make money. But he has given you assets for making money. So stop blaming God for your poverty. You are poor because, well, unless the circumstances are such that, you know, you are physically incapable or you are living in desert. But in Uganda here, you are poor because there is no money, but because the poverty is, it's not in the pocket, it's, yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who participated in the competition and the exercise, I want to express my humble but sincere thank you. And the organizers, I want to say in Luganda, tusima bwongerwa. Now, wanakankwasa. For those of you who allowed people to invade our swamps and what, I'm giving blanket amnesty. But from now on, anybody going into the wetlands and damaging nature, we shall deal with. And those allowing them to do so, we shall deal with. Because when you make your application to work for the environment departments, don't you say I'm going to preserve the environment? So why do you tell us lies? We hire you so that you protect the environment. Now, when you fail to protect the environment, why should we keep you? I'm going after those who are damaging the environment and those who allow them to damage the environment. Amnesty ends today. So when I can tell everybody that I'm not going to punish you for yesterday's sins because I wasn't there, but the sins you commit under my watch, we shall see. Because I don't want history to say he came, he saw, he was negligent. I want to be judged fairly and squarely by history for a contribution I have consciously made towards improving the quality of life of our people in Uganda and the African peoples. I have always told people I'm not a Ugandan, I'm an African. I'm an African from the East African region of Africa and the African district of Uganda. I see people say, oh, me I'm Mujisu, me I'm Muchiga. So what? Mujisu, they were just other than eating Malay and dancing here. What can they do on their own? They were cheaper than climbing the hills of Kigezi and degrading the hills. Look, the hills have been exhausted. They have dug the hills till the swamp, and the hills are now exhausted. And the Wachika now coming down from the hills and claiming the swamps. Kawasa tells those Wachika to get out of our swamps. Those swamps were put there for a purpose, not for the Wachika to damage. As far as the Wajis, they have learned their lesson. You tampered with Mount Elgon, and you saw the consequences. Now, once bitten, twice shy. As you know, the mountain came down on them. Then I went back. When I went back, I said, you people who have remained here, get out of here before God gets the news. They said, oh, this man is a witch. And indeed, when I left, the mountain came down. Now, why did the mountain come down? That mountain has been there since eternity without coming down. But mankind decided to get wiser than God, go up the mountain, cut the trees, remove the tree roots, grow food, which they never ate, because they interfered with the nature, and nature revenged by coming down on them. Now, if we don't seriously take environmental concerns into consideration for our generation and the next generation. The damage we do today is a result of selfishness. We want to prosper at the expense of the children of our children. If our forefathers, our forebearers had damaged the environment, would we be here? No, we wouldn't. It's only imperative that this generation and the next generation preserves the environment for purposes of the future. If we don't want to do that, then we should stop producing. We should cease procreation and say we are selfish. It's we and us alone, and tell with the future. But for as long as we have children and the children of their children, we have an obligation to ensure that we preserve this environment. Unfortunately, the African peoples are not the worst polluters. Our contribution to environmental damage is minuscule. The scientists know the percentage. We are being asked to preserve the environment when we are not the polluters. We are being told to grow trees when other people are strictly increasing economic activity and profitability at our expense. And when climate comes down harshly on us, we suffer equally like the major polluters. So it's time for the African people also to stand up and say, wait a minute, all of us are doing damage, and the more damage you do, the more you should be liable for reparation, to repair the environment with damage. When I was Minister for Environment, I went to New York and there was a conference and we were discussing about environment. I looked at people talking and they are very wise. Very, very wise. They speak good English. and we admire them. And we think speaking English is a sign of being intelligent. But unfortunately, I've been in Britain and I've seen a lot of people who speak English who are not as clever as some of you. Then I said, now what do I tell these human beings? I said, no, put up my hand. I said, you idiot from Africa, what are you saying? I said, now, since you are spoiling the environment for purposes of development, we're also going to spoil so that we also develop. And then we shall see where we shall end. We're also going to spoil down there. They said, oh, no, Africa, you must grow. I said, no. For instance, for us in Africa, we don't put flowers on our tables where we are going to eat. It's not because we don't love flowers. It's, ladies and gentlemen, it's because people in Europe, in extreme conditions, spend 7 months without seeing flowers. That's why they appreciate them. Here, when you go to Tesco, you find the eaters are cutting flowers because they are weed. The flowers are weed. They are a nuisance. That's why when these Africans come to town, when they come, I was teasing the governor Bank of Uganda. They gave him a tree and I said, where are you going to plant it? The whole place is tarmac and cement. We don't appreciate green because we live in the green conditions. The flowers, they're everywhere. We cut them every day. Now, not until we miss those flowers that we shall know how valuable they are. Well, not until we miss honey that we shall know how valuable trees are. Because these flowers you call weed are the gift from nature which enable the bees to pollinate our crops. If not for anything else, for pollination, we need trees, we need flowers, we need the ecological environment as it was organized by nature. You know, when I went to the ministry recently, Dr. Kangwasa told me we are doing evictions. Then I told him, and there are people making noise. Oh, we are being thrown out of wetlands. Nature licensed hippos, fish, frogs, crocodile. Unless only those, and the otters. If you are not a fish, a frog, a hippo, a crocodile, and an otter, what are you doing in the wetland? When we tell you you are misplaced, get out. By all means, why do you complain? You think God was stupid to put you on dry land and put the reptiles in the water? Eh? Why are you invading the wetlands? Look at Kampala. We are, ladies and gentlemen, we are now drawing water for drinking from Katosi. Kampala water now comes from Katosi. You think National Water and Sewage Corporation is mad that they are getting water from Katosi, not from Ruzera? No, we don't get water from Ruzera because you've damaged Ruzera. You've invaded the wetland, removed the filters, so the effluent from Kampala goes directly into the lake. And we are here clapping, putting up finger, and we think we are very intelligent. And the effluent from Kampala, the heavy metals, the poisons produced by vehicles go now into Lake Victoria. because we have overwhelmed the filter, the swamp between Gorovi and the lake, which used to filter. We've damaged it. And then you find people there with boats catching fish from that estuary. They think they are bringing food, they are bringing poison. The fish eats the poison, you get the fish, put it on the table, eat the fish, you are eating poison, I'm sorry. Go and tell everybody, all and sundry, that you are poisoning yourselves. When you fall sick, don't complain, because you are the ones who did it. So, there should be no mercy for those who are degrading the wetlands. Me, who eats fish, unknowingly eats fish from this estuary, I'm going to be killed by your negligence and greed. So you who is degrading the wetland, you're committing murder. Eh? Why should we hang Okero and leave you? Okero kill children, you are killing adults. Now, murder is murder. Whether you murder deliberately or by negligence, you have taken life. So we should actually treat you like this gentleman who is having issues with murder. Ladies and gentlemen, God was not stupid to make the world, put in trees, put in flowers, put in flora and fauna, and separate our residencies and our use of nature. Remember, nature claims its own. You cannot cheat it. There are people who went and built houses in the lake some time ago. They went and built houses, very nice, beautiful houses. And the lake just rose. It claimed its own. So now the houses are underwater. Why that effort? Why that effort? Why do you sink all this wealth into the lake when you can't enjoy it? So, ladies and gentlemen, I am glad to participate in this event. And the event is about sustainability of the environment, innovation. I've often told people that my heart bleeds when I see Africans drowning in the Mediterranean, running away from resource-rich Africa to these exhausted places of Europe, resource-exhausted places in Europe, to go into slavery. The other time they were taking slaves from here in chains. People would go crying, struggling against enslavement. Now, people pay for going to be slaves. Why? Because our generation and yesterday's generation have let down our people by not turning the abundant resources of the continent into solace and comfort for our people. That's why our people, unfortunately, are running away from the continent. Because we, who are in charge, and who've been in charge for a significant epoch in time, have failed to turn the abundance of African resources into solace and comfort for our people. The other day I told you that I don't think it is glorious for Karamoja to be dry, for our people in Karamoja to be running around searching for water, 60 years after independence. Huu wakati wote tumekuwa wapi? Yes, we suffered colonialism, but the colonials have been gone for 60 years. 60 years after independence, we are still talking about providing water to Karamoja. This is a result of false start, misplaced priorities. Misplaced priorities, you know, not putting our, you say put your, where your mouth is. What's the saying? Put your money where your mouth is. Right. The problem is not falling down. The danger is when you fall and you don't get up. If we made mistakes and we not set our priorities right, now that we've seen the light, we should move towards the correct direction. And Uganda Governor, I want to thank you for that eloquent